Admiral James Harrison stood at the observation deck of Lunar Base Alpha, his weathered face reflecting in the reinforced glass as he stared at the distant Earth. The sight that had once filled him with wonder now filled him with dread. Something was wrong in the solar system, and he was one of the few who knew it. The disappearances had started 6 months ago. First, it was the research station on Ganymede, 47 scientists and support staff, gone without a trace. The official story blamed a catastrophic life support failure, but Harrison knew better. The station's final transmission had contained something impossible, readings of energy signatures that defied known physics. "Admiral, you need to see this." Commander Maya Rodriguez's voice broke through his thoughts. She stood in the doorway, her dark eyes intense, tablet in hand. Harrison had hand-picked her as his second-in-command for her analytical mind and unwavering dedication. Now, those same qualities had led her to uncover a pattern he'd been dreading to confirm. "Show me," he said, turning from the window. Maya's fingers danced across the tablet, bringing up a holographic display of the solar system. Red dots appeared across the projection: Mars Research Station Beta, Europa Outpost, the mining colonies in the asteroid belt. All sites of mysterious incidents over the past 6 months. "Sir, when we overlay the energy signature readings from each location." She manipulated the display, and lines of light connected the dots, forming a pattern that made Harrison's blood run cold. It wasn't random. The disappearances formed a deliberate grid, spreading inward from the outer solar system. "They're mapping us," Harrison whispered. "Testing our defenses." "That's not all," Maya continued, her voice steady despite the gravity of her discovery. "We've detected similar signatures near Phobos. They're getting closer to Mars Colony." Mars Colony. 5,000 civilians, scientists, and military personnel. The first permanent human settlement beyond Earth. If it fell. Harrison straightened his uniform. "Contact General Thompson on Mars immediately. Priority Alpha." But before Maya could respond, the base's AI system cut through the silence. "Warning, unknown energy signature detected. Multiple objects approaching from Sector 7. Through the observation window, Harrison watched as space itself seemed to ripple. 3 vessels emerged from what appeared to be tiers in reality, sleek, obsidian shapes that defied human engineering. They moved with an organic grace that made them seem alive. "Sound General Quarters," Harrison ordered, his voice calm despite the adrenaline surging through his veins. "And get me a direct line to Earth Command. They need to know, the silent invasion isn't silent anymore." As alarms blared throughout the base, Harrison watched the alien ships approach. Humanity had prepared for this possibility for generations, developing weapons and defenses in secret. Now, they would find out if it had been enough. The next 48 hours would change everything. As the alien ships, later identified as Nexarian vessels, took up positions around the moon, Earth's military leadership scrambled to respond. But Harrison and Maya had already set in motion a plan that would reveal humanity's true capabilities. Deep beneath the lunar surface, in chambers unknown even to most of the base's personnel, ancient engines began to hum. Project Nightfall, humanity's insurance policy against extraterrestrial threats, was about to see the light of day. "Sir," Maya reported, her voice tight with anticipation, "Nightfall protocols are active. Waiting on your command." Harrison took one last look at Earth through the observation window. The blue marble hung there, peaceful and unaware of the war about to begin. He thought of all the generations that had worked in secret, preparing for this moment. The Nexarians thought they had found an easy target, a species ripe for conquest. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Execute Nightfall," Harrison commanded. "Show them what humanity can do." As the hidden chambers beneath the lunar surface began to open, Harrison allowed himself a grim smile. The silent invasion was about to get very, very loud. The lunar surface split open like a blooming flower of steel and stone. From the depths of humanity's oldest satellite, massive structures began to rise, not the crude, utilitarian designs of public space programs, but sleek vessels that rivaled the Nexarian ships in their sophistication. Project Nightfall, decades in the making, was finally revealing itself to the stars. Commander Maya Rodriguez watched the deployment from the Auxiliary Command Center, buried a kilometer beneath the lunar surface. Around her, dozens of technicians and officers worked with practiced precision, their movements rehearsed countless times for this very moment. The chamber hummed with energy as ancient systems, hidden from the world, came fully online. First wave deployment at 85%, she reported, her voice steady despite the historic nature of the moment. Artemis fleet reporting ready status. Admiral Harrison's voice crackled through the comm system. Status of the Nexarian vessels. They're adjusting their formation, sir. Energy readings suggest they're charging weapons systems. The Nexarian ships had maintained their position above the lunar surface, seemingly confident in their technological superiority. That confidence was about to cost them dearly. Deploy the quantum mesh, Harrison ordered. Let's show them why humanity has survived everything this universe has thrown at us. Maya's fingers danced across the holographic controls. Above the lunar surface, invisible fields of energy began to spread between the newly emerged human vessels. Each ship was a node in a vast network, creating a defensive system that had been theorized centuries ago but never revealed, until now. The first Nexarian strike came as a burst of searing energy, powerful enough to vaporize a conventional spacecraft. But as it hit the quantum mesh, something remarkable happened. The energy didn't just dissipate, it was absorbed, channeled, and redistributed throughout the network. Mesh holding at 98% efficiency, Maya announced, allowing herself a small smile. Ready to implement Phase 2. The Artemis fleet, named after humanity's return to the moon, consisted of 12 vessels. Each one represented a different aspect of human military innovation. The flagship, Prometheus, carried weapons systems based on controlled fusion technology. The Hyperion specialized in electromagnetic warfare. The Athena was a marvel of defensive systems and tactical coordination. But it was the smallest ship in the fleet, the Hermes, that carried humanity's greatest secret. Hermes reporting quantum entanglement drive at full capacity, the ship's captain reported. Ready for translocation. Admiral Harrison's voice was firm. Execute Phase 2. Show them what happens when you corner humanity. The Hermes seemed to flicker, like a mirage in the desert. Then, in an instant, it vanished, only to reappear behind the Nexarian formation. The alien vessels immediately began to turn, but they were too late. The Hermes had already activated its primary weapon, a device that generated localized pockets of altered spacetime. The effect was immediate and devastating. The nearest Nexarian ship found itself trapped in a bubble where time moved at a fraction of normal speed. Its weapons, its engines, its very movements became sluggish and predictable. Target is contained, the Hermes reported. Prometheus, you have your shot. The Prometheus moved with surprising grace for its size, its fusion cannons charging with barely contained power. The trapped Nexarian vessel could only watch as the human ship lined up its shot. But Admiral Harrison's voice cut through the command channel, hold fire. Maya turned to the holographic projection of her commander. Sir. Look at their power signatures, Harrison said. They're not trying to break free. They're adapting. Learning. He was right. The trapped Nexarian ship was already adjusting its energy output, finding ways to compensate for the time dilation. The other two vessels had taken up defensive positions that would have been optimal against human tactics, if they had studied Earth's military history. They're testing us, Maya realized. This whole invasion, it's an assessment. Harrison nodded grimly. And we just showed them more than we intended. Hermes, disengage quantum lock. All vessels, maintain defensive formation but do not fire unless fired upon. Commander Rodriguez, prepare for contact. Contact? Maya asked, though she already suspected the answer. Yes, Harrison replied. I believe our visitors are finally ready to talk. The question is, what have they really been looking for? As if in response to Harrison's words, the Nexarian vessels powered down their weapons. A new signal began broadcasting on all frequencies, a complex mathematical sequence that Maya recognized as a universal language primer. Project Nightfall had been designed to defend humanity against hostile aliens. Instead, it had demonstrated humanity's potential to a watching galaxy. As Maya began processing the alien transmission, she couldn't help but wonder, had they just failed a test, or passed one? The next few hours would determine whether humanity had earned its place among the stars through innovation and courage, or if this was merely the prelude to a greater conflict. Either way, there would be no going back to the silence that had preceded this moment. The meeting chamber aboard the Prometheus wasn't designed for alien visitors. Yet here they were, 3 Nexarian representatives, their crystalline bodies refracting light in ways that made Maya's eyes strain to focus. Admiral Harrison stood beside her, maintaining a diplomatic posture that betrayed none of the tension evident in the rest of the human delegation. We must admit, the lead Nexarian spoke, its thoughts translated through a quantum interface, your response to our probing exceeded expectations. Few species manage to maintain such extensive defensive preparations while appearing vulnerable. Harrison's expression remained neutral. You'll understand if we don't take that as a compliment. Your probing cost us lives. The crystalline beings shifted, creating a harmonic resonance that the translators interpreted as something between amusement and respect. No lives were lost, Admiral Harrison. The disappeared have been preserved, studied, and will be returned. We needed to understand your true nature. Maya stepped forward, her hand instinctively near her sidearm. Preserved? The entire Ganymede station? Along with the others, a second Nexarian confirmed. They exist in temporal stasis, experiencing no passage of time. But this meeting is not about the past, it is about your future. Our future. The third Nexarian moved closer to the conference table, its crystalline form projecting a holographic display of the galaxy. Thousands of points of light illuminated the room, each representing a different civilization. But there was something wrong with the image, entire sections of the galaxy were dark, empty. The Void Collective, the lead Nexarian explained. A force that consumes civilization itself. They have already claimed 12 sectors, and their advance continues. We are not invaders, humans. We are recruiters. Harrison and Maya exchanged glances. The Admiral's voice was measured when he spoke. You're saying there's a greater threat out there, and you've been testing species to find allies? Not allies, the second Nexarian corrected. Survivors. Among all the civilizations we've encountered, few maintain their defensive capabilities once they achieve peace. They grow complacent, soft. But humanity. The being's crystalline structure pulsed with what might have been admiration. You built the Artemis fleet while constructing civilian colonies. You advanced your technology while maintaining your warrior spirit. You are what we need. Maya's tactical mind was already racing ahead. The disappeared stations, you were testing our response protocols. Our ability to handle loss without breaking. And our apparent vulnerability was actually an advantage, Harrison added. It made us appear less threatening while maintaining our readiness. The lead Nexarian's form brightened. Precisely. The Void Collective seeks out the strongest civilizations first, eliminating the greatest threats before consuming the weaker ones. But humanity's hidden strength, it makes you uniquely suited to fight them. The holographic display shifted, showing a massive dark mass moving through the galaxy, consuming light as it went. The sight sent chills down Maya's spine. This was what the Nexarians feared, not just an enemy, but an extinction-level event for all sapient life. We offer an exchange, the lead Nexarian continued. We will share our technology, our knowledge of the collective's movements. In return, we ask for humanity's innovation, your unique perspective on warfare, and your indomitable spirit. Harrison studied the holographic display for a long moment before responding. You understand that any alliance would require the return of our people. All of them. They will be returned within the hour, the second Nexarian assured. Consider it a gesture of good faith. Maya watched as Harrison contemplated the offer. She could see him weighing the implications, not just for Earth, but for all of humanity. They had prepared for invasion, for war, but this was different. This was an invitation to join something greater. There's something you're not telling us, Harrison said finally. What makes humanity so special? Other species must have military capabilities, defensive preparations. The three Nexarians moved closer together, their crystalline forms resonating in harmony. The lead being spoke, what makes humans unique is not your technology or your defenses. It is your adaptability. Your kind faces extinction-level events and emerges stronger. You turn defeats into advantages. You learn from every failure. The Void Collective cannot adapt, it can only consume. But humanity evolves. As if to emphasize the point, the holographic display showed Earth's history, the countless wars, disasters, and challenges that had shaped human civilization. But alongside each catastrophe was evidence of recovery, of advancement. We don't just survive, Maya realized. We thrive on adversity. The lead Nexarian's form pulsed with approval. Exactly. The Void Collective has never encountered a species that grows stronger from conflict. They cannot comprehend improvement through struggle. This makes humanity not just an ally, but potentially the key to their defeat. Harrison straightened, his decision made. We'll need to consult with Earth's leadership. But first, I want to see our people returned. Then we can discuss the terms of this alliance. As the Nexarians agreed to the conditions, Maya couldn't help but smile at the irony. Humanity had spent generations preparing for an alien invasion, only to discover that their paranoia and preparedness were exactly what the galaxy needed. They hadn't just survived first contact, they had exceeded every expectation. The war to come would be unlike anything humanity had faced before. But for the first time in history, the stars themselves would witness what humans could do when given a worthy challenge. The silent invasion had become something else entirely, humanity's invitation to reshape the galaxy itself. 2 months after the Nexarian revelation, the combined fleet hung in the darkness of deep space. The Artemis vessels, now upgraded with Nexarian technology, formed the vanguard of an armada unlike any in human history. Commander Maya Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned Humanity's Dawn, a hybrid vessel that represented the first true collaboration between human and Nexarian engineering. The Void Collective has never faced a defeat, Admiral Harrison's hologram flickered in the command center. But they've also never faced humans fighting alongside Nexarians. Status report. Maya gestured at the tactical display. Scout drones confirm the collective is consuming Sector 87. Their pattern remains consistent, they're methodically absorbing all matter and energy in their path. But we've noticed something they haven't. She highlighted a section of the display where the darkness of the collective seemed to pulse rhythmically. They're not just consuming. They're digesting. There are moments of vulnerability in their feeding cycle. The Nexarian liaison, Crystal Song in Darkness, or Crystal, as the human crew had dubbed them, moved forward. Their crystalline form had been modified to interface directly with human technology. This observation is unprecedented. Our species spent centuries studying the collective without noting this pattern. That's because you were looking for weaknesses in their strength, Maya explained. We looked for strength in their weaknesses. Every feeding system has a metabolic cycle. Even one that consumes reality itself. Harrison's hologram nodded. And that's our window. How long? 17 minutes between consumption and full absorption, Maya replied. A narrow gap, but enough for humanity to exploit, Crystal finished. This is why we sought your alliance. You see possibilities where we see only obstacles. The plan was audacious, perhaps even insane by Nexarian standards. While the collective was busy absorbing a star system, the combined fleet would launch a strike not at their current position, but at their next predicted target. The key wasn't to fight the darkness, it was to poison its meal. Maya pulled up the schematics for Operation Trojan Horse. The Hermes and 3 Nexarian phase ships will seed the target system with quantum resonators. When the collective begins to feed, they'll absorb these devices along with everything else. And that's when we trigger the cascade, Harrison continued. The resonators will activate inside their mass, disrupting their digestive process. They won't just fail to absorb the system, they'll be forced to expel everything they've consumed recently. Crystal's form pulsed with what humans had learned to recognize as concern. The energy backlash will be catastrophic. Any ships caught in the expulsion zone will be destroyed. That's why we're not going to be in the expulsion zone, Maya smiled. We're going to be in the indigestion zone. The tactical display shifted, showing the fleet's true position. They weren't going to run from the collective's inevitable purge, they were going to ride it. The combined fleet would use the massive energy release to power a synchronized jump that would place them inside the collective's defenses. The expelled mass will be energized and unstable, Maya explained. Perfect conditions for our enhanced quantum drives. We'll essentially surf the wavefront right into their weakened state. Harrison's hologram showed him pacing, a habit he'd never quite broken. The timing has to be perfect. We'll only get one shot at this. That's why we've been practicing, Maya assured him. The fleet had spent weeks rehearsing the maneuver in simulation. The Nexarians provide the precision, we provide the crazy. Crystal moved to the tactical display, their crystalline form refracting the holographic light. In all our years fighting the collective, we never considered using their own consumption against them. It would have seemed illogical. Good thing humans aren't always logical, Maya replied. Sometimes the best moves in chess are the ones that make no sense until they win the game. The command center hummed with activity as final preparations were made. Every ship in the fleet had been modified with hybrid technology, human innovation merged with Nexarian precision. They had taken the best of both species and created something entirely new. All ships report ready, Maya announced. Quantum resonators are primed and phase ships are in position. Harrison's hologram straightened. Remember, once we start this, there's no going back. The collective will know we can hurt them. They'll adapt. Good, Maya replied with a confidence that surprised even her. Let them adapt. That's what we do best, turn their adaptations into opportunities. Every time they change, they give us new weaknesses to exploit. Crystal's form pulsed with what might have been pride. You truly are remarkable creatures. You face the impossible with not just courage, but enthusiasm. That's because impossible just means no one's done it yet, Maya responded. Admiral, the fleet awaits your command. Harrison looked at the tactical display one last time, at the darkness that had consumed so many civilizations. Humanity's first real battle in the galaxy was about to begin, and they were starting it with a move that defied conventional logic. All ships, Harrison's voice carried across the fleet, Operation Trojan Horse is go. Show them why you never corner a species that turns survival into an art form. As the fleet moved into position, Maya watched the Void Collective continuing its relentless consumption of Sector 87. They had no idea that their next meal would be their last easy one. Humanity had entered the galactic stage not with a whisper or a bang, but with a plan so audacious it just might work. The darkness was about to learn why humans were always the monsters in alien stories. Not because they were evil, but because they never, ever played by the expected rules. The void rippled like a disturbed pond. Where once there was darkness consuming everything in its path, now there was chaos. Operation Trojan Horse had worked better than anyone had anticipated, perhaps too well. Energy spike. Maya's voice cut through the tense atmosphere of humanity's Dawn's Bridge. The collective is beginning to purge. The massive dark mass that had been methodically consuming Sector 87 was convulsing, its perfectly ordered consumption disrupted by the quantum resonators hidden in its latest meal. Streams of partially digested matter and energy erupted from its form, creating a spectacular and terrifying display of cosmic regurgitation. "All ships, prepare for surge ride," Admiral Harrison commanded from the flagship. Crystal, status of the Nexarian fleet. The crystalline being's form pulsed with nervous energy. "Synchronized and ready, Admiral. Though I must note again that this maneuver defies several laws of physics." "Good thing we didn't tell physics that," Maya replied, her hands dancing across the control interface. The hybrid human-Nexarian technology responded to her touch with a precision that still amazed her. Wave front approaching in 3, 2, 1. The expelled mass from the collective hit the fleet like a tsunami of pure energy. But instead of being destroyed, each ship's quantum drives engaged in perfect synchronization. The energy that should have annihilated them was instead channeled, transformed, and used to power the most ambitious faster-than-light jump in human history. Reality bent, twisted, and then snapped back. When it settled, the combined fleet found itself exactly where they wanted to be, inside the collective's defensive perimeter, in the temporarily weakened space left behind by its massive purge. "Position confirmed," Maya announced, fighting down a wave of nausea from the jump. "We're in their gut, exactly as planned." But the Void Collective was already responding. The darkness around them began to shift and solidify, trying to trap the intruding fleet. This was the critical moment, everything hinged on what happened next. "They're adapting faster than predicted," Crystal warned, their crystalline form vibrating with concern. "The collective is attempting to alter its fundamental structure to prevent further attacks of this nature." Harrison's voice carried across all channels. "Good. Maya, execute Phase 2. Maya smiled as she activated the second part of humanity's insane plan. "Releasing quantum inverters. Let's see how the darkness likes having indigestion and a migraine at the same time." Thousands of small devices, each one combining human creativity with Nexarian precision, deployed from the fleet. They spread out in a carefully calculated pattern, each one activating as it reached its designated position. The effect was immediate and devastating. The darkness of the collective wasn't just being disrupted now, it was being inverted. Where it tried to absorb energy, it was forced to emit it. Where it attempted to consume matter, it found itself unable to maintain its own cohesion. "The collective structure is destabilizing," Crystal reported, their tone carrying what might have been awe. It's trying to adapt, but each adaptation only makes it more vulnerable to the inverter's effects." "Because we're not fighting its strength," Maya explained, watching the tactical display with fierce satisfaction. "We're using its own adaptability against it. The more it changes to resist us, the more opportunities it creates for the inverters to exploit." Harrison's hologram nodded grimly. "The perfect trap for a perfect predator. It can't stop adapting, but each adaptation brings it closer to collapse." The Void Collective's massive form writhed in space, its darkness shot through with increasing streams of light. It was like watching a black hole try to become a star, beautiful, impossible, and terrifying all at once. "Energy readings are off the scale," Maya reported. "The cascade effect is accelerating. Whatever the collective's trying to do to save itself, it's only making things worse." Crystal moved closer to the tactical display, their crystalline form reflecting the chaos unfolding before them. "In all our centuries of fighting the collective, we never imagined, we thought it had to be destroyed. We never considered it could be transformed." That's when Maya noticed something extraordinary in the readings. "Admiral, the collective, it's not just being destroyed. The quantum inverters are forcing it to evolve. All that adaptability, all that consumption, it's being redirected. The darkness that had terrorized the galaxy was changing. Where there had been an all-consuming void, points of light began to emerge. The collective's very nature was being rewritten, its endless hunger for consumption transformed into something else entirely. By all known laws of physics, this shouldn't be possible, Crystal observed, their form pulsing with excitement. The collective is becoming a creator instead of a consumer, Harrison finished. It's not just adapting anymore, it's transcending. The transformation accelerated, spreading through the collective's entire mass. What had once been a force of pure destruction was becoming something new, something that had never existed before in the galaxy. The darkness was giving birth to light. Maya watched in awe as the tactical display struggled to keep up with the changes. "Sir, we're detecting life. Actual life forms emerging from the transformed regions. The collective isn't just changing its nature, it's releasing everything it ever consumed, but evolved." Crystal's form blazed with light. "Impossible, and yet we are witnessing it. This is why we needed humanity. Not just to fight the collective, but to show us possibilities we never imagined." As the transformed collective continued its metamorphosis, Harrison's hologram smiled. "Humanity's first major act on the galactic stage, and we didn't just defeat an ancient enemy, we transformed it into something new. Something better. That's what humans do," Maya replied, watching as more points of light emerged from the former darkness. "We don't just survive or adapt. We take what tries to destroy us and turn it into something that helps us grow." The galaxy would never be the same after this day. The Void Collective, once the greatest threat to all life, had become a source of new creation, new possibilities. And humanity, the species that had hidden its strength for so long, had proven that sometimes the best way to defeat an enemy is to help it become something more than it ever imagined it could be. As the combined fleet watched the ongoing transformation, Maya couldn't help but wonder what other impossible things humanity would achieve now that they had taken their place among the stars. One thing was certain, the galaxy was about to become a much more interesting place.